This week we have supercomputers to get our hearts racing and tech to get us all reading.
Let's read.
Please take a picture of the text.
Now don't anybody move.
Plus, Ami's gone to town to test the newest, oldest camera that we've seen for a while.
We're taking a photo, sounded like a small, sharp pop, and it was flashy, just like this outfit.
Hi there, got a question for you. Of the two of us, who do you think is more of the health enthusiast? Do you think anyone is saying me? Literally everyone is getting that right.
Some people may have done. I do try, though.
Yes,
I do try.
Would you say it's always better to collect as much data about your body as you can?
I think so. I find it really useful. I don't always act on that data, which can be quite frustrating, particularly when it comes to sleep. And some people can get a bit obsessive over it, and it can make them feel anxious. And obviously, in those cases, it's not ideal. But personally, I do find it motivating.
So, do you think that one day we'll be able to monitor enough about our bodies to be able to create a completely virtual version of the entire body that then maybe we can test drugs on or create personalised healthcare for?
Definitely, and that will help us step towards predictive and preventative healthcare, which is what we're hopefully going to do.
Brilliant. Well, we are one step closer because scientists in Barcelona have created a digital version of a human heart. This means that one day you could have a beating copy of your heart in the virtual world. And Alistair Keane has been to find out how it all works.
On the edge of Barcelona, researchers are working on an ambitious project that could change the future of healthcare, centred around the body's most crucial organ.
Thanks to advances in science and technology, our understanding of the human heart is getting better and better, so much so that we can create digital copies of it. But as I'm about to find out, that involves some serious computer power.
This is the home of Europe's latest supercomputer. We've been invited in right as it's being switched on.
Here we go. So this is the supercomputer.
This is my Notion 5, the new system we are installing in Barcelona. So it's more than 7,000 nodes.
To put that in context, your personal computer or laptop would usually count as one node.
Huge.
And every cabin of this is having 102 disks, every one of 18 terabytes. So the total raw capacity is 350 petabytes. One of the characteristics of the system is the weight. You want to try to push it?
Oh, this is heavy.
It's heavy, huh?
Very heavy, yeah.
And expensive. I feel like I'm in a china shop trying not to break anything.
So all the supercomputer is connected by a high-speed network. We have built these glass tiles so you can see all the infrastructure.
Yeah.
All of this computing power is generating a lot of heat.
So now this is the back part, where all the cables are coming through from the basement, and this is the heat you cannot feel on the TV.
There are pipes carrying cold water to cool it all down. The hot water that comes out is used to heat the rest of the building. The supercomputer is able to contribute to research in many different fields at the same time, from engineering to predicting climate change. But researchers here are also using it to study the human body and do medical tests virtually.
Today we can model a beating heart, so we can model the physiology, the mechanical contraction of the tissue, of the muscle, and also the fluid, the blood mechanics inside the ventricles and atria and vessels.
And if you kind of peel back the skin, as it were, of the virtual heart, it's basically lots of numbers and maths and calculations.
Nature can be interpreted using mathematics. We describe your heart with equations in a mathematical model, and then this mathematical model is translated to a computer program.
The beating hearts created are not generic. They can be based on an individual's data and used to determine if different drugs or treatments will actually work for that person.
in a very similar way that in a real clinical trial in which you test a therapy on a cohort of people, we can do the same but on a cohort of virtual hearts. By exploring different pathways for innovation, they can have better products, faster, cheaper, and more sophisticated, that can come finally to the patient.
It's estimated it would take 57 billion years for a human to attempt the calculations needed to create a beating heart. The supercomputer can do it in just 9 hours. This latest update in the tech will help scientists delve even further into healthcare, but that requires medical staff and patients to trust the technology. The team here aren't just going to stop at hearts. They'd like to create a full replica of a human, but with all the different movements and contractions that happen internally that we don't even think about, there's still a long way to go before that's possible.
That was Alastair. Now, there are around 25 diseases for which we have safe and effective vaccines. But millions still die every year because those vaccines don't get to the people who need them. So one company has been looking at ways to streamline the process and in doing so, save lives.
Chikungunya is one of the infections that's spread by mosquitoes. It's usually confined to sub-Saharan Africa, but has started to spread. One vaccine has just been approved by the Food and Drug Administration in the US, but others are working on it too. One of them is the Bristol-based startup Immoferon. It's developed a new synthetic protein called Adoma. The protein is adorned with parts of the target virus, but it's not infectious itself. It's a different approach to how other vaccines like the COVID-19 ones were made, but there's one big advantage.
The Adoma can be produced, stored, transported and brought to the people at ambient temperatures which can go up to 50 degrees. This is a big advantage to other vaccines which depend on a functioning cold chain.
Millions of doses of vaccines are lost every year because of inadequate refrigeration, especially when being sent to developing countries.
Part of the issue is transporting the vaccine from the distribution depot, where it is kept in cold chain conditions, to the site where it's going to be administered. It could be hundreds of miles. And then when they get to the facilities where they're going to deploy the vaccine, more often than not, there's not any refrigeration. Now, over the years, people have tried different ways of dealing with this. They, for example, would dig holes and put the vaccine underground to try and keep it at a sort of temperature, but it is very, very hard.
Another big advantage of the technique being used here is that it could be synthesized to target more than one disease in one shot. The Adoma is not yet in clinical trials, but it couldn't have got to this stage without two key technologies.
We are now coming to the cryo-electron microscopy facility. This is where our structural data collection will take place. This is Ufuk. He's preparing the experiment.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
A prepared sample is placed in a tiny drop of water and inserted into that electron microscope at minus 195 degrees Celsius.
So when we put it then into the cryo-electron microscope, the electron beam can go through it and we will see our vaccine particles in there.
Okay. Can I take a look at what it's actually seeing now?
So we currently have one of those grids loaded. Those are the 3mm discs that we apply the sample onto. This is a magnified image of that. So this is a grid square image, and now we're going to zoom into these foil holes.
The microscope can zoom in to 0.1 nanometer detail. That's 1/10,000,000th of a millimeter. These raw images may not look like much to you or me, but they are a vital part of the process.
What's coming off the electron microscope is like just shadows. You're kind of like looking at the 2D shape of it from lots of different angles. And then what you need to do is take all of these different views from all these different angles and then work out what's the 3D shape that can produce all of those shadows. Cloud computing let us get to the answer now, and it's that kind of like the researcher getting the structure as they're developing it. That's like the big change that cloud enabled.
And AI is pivotal to this.
Where AI can help us is we can run literally thousands of simulations of where to position which particular bit of the protein to attach, where to put it, or if we need to stabilize it or fix it in some way, and that can help us really reduce the time in the lab spent doing iterations until we get the right molecule.
But if they do succeed, the possibilities in other areas could be huge too, such as cancer vaccines that train the body's immune system to make antibodies against a tumour. And at least its methods do have efficiency on their side.
The Adoma uses established technology for its production. The manufacturing processes are established, and we believe that they will be very competitive. And we are now working towards entering clinical trials.
This is a small company though, up against a big challenge and big pharma. And these vaccines aren't in humans yet, so there's a way to go.